Well, I don't think we can call it a lie because technically it was true when I said it. It's just not true anymore. Like many, I was eagerly awaiting the behind the scenes from the 2023 CrossFit Games that was being made by Sevan and his team. And not just because I've been a bit ill, stuck at home, bored, wanting something to watch, but I actually made a video talking about how I truly believed the behind the scenes will benefit CrossFit. Now, at the time of recording, of course, I hadn't seen any of the behind the scenes, and it was more reverse engineering the results of previous years when we'd had behind the scenes and what I was expecting to come from the behind the scenes this year. In fact, I actually said this.
And I'll put it out here that I have not seen any of the behind the scenes of 2023. Of course, I've seen the previous years, but I'm not part of the inner circle. I'm not getting special access, but I do feel it's something that has been missing from the CrossFit Games ecosystem, and I'm very happy to have it back.
Well, now I'm afraid that statement, it's just not quite true. I'm definitely still not part of the inner circle, but I would say that maybe I'm inner circle adjacent, at least enough that Sevan has very kindly been sending me the behind the scenes videos in advance, so I've had an opportunity to watch them and I can talk about them. And that is why I can tell you that the episode coming tomorrow is incredible, and not just because it's almost an hour and a half long. So at this point, I've seen up to episode 6, and I feel that I've seen enough to be able to revisit my thoughts from the previous video and let you know whether or not the behind the scenes is accomplishing what I was hoping. Well, I'm happy to say that the answer is a resounding yes. Now, I'm someone who would like to feel that I follow CrossFit pretty closely. Even so, watching the behind the scenes has actually changed my mind on multiple things. So let me give you a few examples of this, and we can kind of consider it a review of the first few episodes of the behind the scenes too. So let's start by talking about the events or workouts or tests, whatever you want to call them, themselves. Because hearing the coaches talk about them, hearing the athletes talk about their feelings on a certain workout before it happens or immediately after, it helps you to look at it in a completely new light. I'll be honest, there were some workouts that didn't completely enthrall me when I saw them at the CrossFit Games. However, seeing the drama behind the scenes, the concerns athletes had, or what can happen after a crash, for example, can really make you look at them in a whole new light. And potentially I'll take that forward with me next year to the CrossFit Games as well. Well, let's talk about the athletes themselves, because there are athletes that I was aware of, but maybe I didn't care that much about. But then you see them pop up a few times in the behind the scenes, you get to see their personality. Well, now they're some of my new favorite athletes, and I will be following their careers very closely going forward and hoping for the best for them. There are even athletes that I did know about, and it wasn't that I didn't care about them, maybe I didn't really like them because of interactions I'd seen from them in the past. But I even changed my mind on some of them because I saw them again in a slightly new light. And if that's the case for someone like me, well, what about everyone else that's watching the behind the scenes? And particularly when it becomes available for free in February, well, I really hope that results in these athletes getting a bump in followers, for example, that increases their profile and maybe brings some more sponsors and opportunities on board. Which kind of goes back to something I said in the previous video about the big names in CrossFit that really wouldn't be the big names if they hadn't made appearances on the original behind the scenes videos. So potentially this is a nice way of seeing history repeat itself for some of these newer athletes. And it's not just the athletes, we're also hearing from their friends, their family. Some of the conversations with their coaches have been incredibly insightful and just give another layer of detail to what's going on at the games for these athletes. And it wasn't just the elite individuals or the teams, but we've even heard from the age group athletes and their friends, families, and coaches as well. And I would definitely say going into the behind the scenes, I was very much expecting all of this. That was what I was looking for and why I wanted the behind the scenes to come back. One of the things I don't think I was expecting was the focus on the games team and the volunteers and how that might have affected me. Because let's be honest, we know that the games teams, they make mistakes. And boy, when they make a mistake, do we like to let them know. But if we're honest, There's a lot of moving parts at the CrossFit Games, and we are seeing that in the behind the scenes, and we are seeing incredible attention to detail. But it's so much easier, isn't it, to highlight one mistake? If you do 9 things well, but you make one mistake, well, people are going to talk about the one thing you did wrong and not the 9 things you did really, really well. Well, it's been interesting to see the games team and the army of volunteers and just the attention to detail, how many things they are doing well. Now, of course, there's nothing wrong with highlighting mistakes when they're made in the hope that they can do things better. But it is also good to give credit where credit is due and highlight some of the wonderful things that these people are doing so that we can have the CrossFit Games. So these are just a few of the highlights that I've picked out from watching the behind the scenes so far. If you've been watching it, I'd love you to leave a comment. Let me know some of your favorite scenes because, let's be honest, there's been a lot of really good ones. And maybe who are some of the athletes that you've started following that you hadn't before watching the behind the scenes? And if you want to go to my Instagram, Jason CF Media, I have been posting up a few little clips, some sneak peeks of some of the things that I've enjoyed personally from the behind the scenes. And while I'm in that self-promoting mood, if you're not following my podcast, Plate Stack Chat, which you can see here on the YouTube channel, or you can find it on Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts, if you like the kind of behind the scenes content, I've been speaking with a lot of athletes, and it's just getting to know them a little bit better. So that's something that you might enjoy listening to as well. So in conclusion, while I'm still not in the inner circle, I do still think the behind the scenes is excellent. And if you've got a little bit of disposable income, I would strongly suggest heading over to Sevan's YouTube channel, becoming a member so that you can get early access to the behind the scenes. If you've got loads of disposable income, feel free to send some my way as well. Of course, not everyone can afford this, and if you want, they will be free in February, and you can watch them in the lead up to the CrossFit Open. Speaking of the Open, another incredible thing that maybe we weren't expecting from the behind the scenes is just how much Sevan and his team have been promoting the CrossFit Open and the L1. So yes, another indication that the behind the scenes is good for CrossFit.